Good morning. It is Wednesday, March 24th, 2021. I'm Pastor Thor Ramsey with Center Church. This is Gospel for Five, where we take 5 minutes out of our day and focus on the gospel because Jesus is the gospel. So we're continuing on in our devotional look at the book of Proverbs, ending yesterday with verse 11. Discretion will watch over you, understanding will guard you, delivering you from the way of evil, from men of perverted speech, who forsake the paths of uprightness. Now, that right there contrasts, as we go through the book of Proverbs, there's a contrast between the foolish person and the wise person. And we see right here that no matter how intelligent a person sounds, no matter how well read, no matter how sophisticated, if they forsake the paths of uprightness, and the paths of uprightness would be the commands of God. My son, if you receive my words and treasure up my commandments with you, making your ear attentive to wisdom and inclining your heart to understanding, that's where wisdom and understanding come from. The God who's revealed his person to humanity and has not just revealed himself, but has actually saved us through his son, Jesus Christ. But the person who forsakes those paths, we call them upright paths. Not because we're upright people, but because the paths themselves, the commands themselves are upright. They reveal the nature and the character of God. And as people called to shine light upon God, to glorify him. In other words, that's what glorifying God is to reflect back well upon God. To reflect back well upon him is to look upon his commands in a good light, to say these are good things, because in reality, they are good things. So when you forsake those paths, to walk in the ways of darkness, people who rejoice in doing evil and delight in the perverseness of evil, boy, I don't have to give lots of examples, but you can give examples of this just from the things that you probably watch. Turn on a recently made Netflix movie, and a Netflix original, an Apple original, and you'll find movies that delight in the perverseness of evil. That's exactly what you find. Or you find men whose paths are crooked and who are devious in their ways. You either find people who are delighting in the perverseness of evil, or they misrepresent by a gross characterization. They misrepresent religious people. But you find this all the time. It's just such, and there's a dishonesty in that. Matter of fact, they make the religious folks, and there's just cult-like, zombie-like expression on a lot of these religious people, and they're cults that really bear no, because even in cults make an argument. People don't, join cults because they're brainwashed. They join cults because the cults mix enough truth with falsehood. And it's the same thing with the secular worldview. Why do people buy into a completely secularistic viewpoint? Because they buy into the worldview, because it's presented in a credible way. But there's enough credible evidence presented within that false worldview. And yes, a completely secular worldview is absolutely a false worldview. If God created the world, you can have a completely secularized worldview, a worldview that is void of the one who created us. That is a false worldview. So, and they're devious in their ways. They're devious in the way they present these things. And it all boils down to this. They've forsaken, they've left the wisdom of our loving Creator. They've left the wisdom of God. So you will be delivered from the forbidden woman. Now we're moving into, here's the thing. So we'll have to wait till tomorrow to get into this, because in just the time I have left here, I can't even jump into this without some, we need more commentary than 30 seconds allow, especially in the cultural climate we're living in today. But all that to say, there is a contrast between the wisdom of God that he gives to humanity and how we flourish as human beings when we follow his wisdom and the contrasting wisdom that is delighting the perverseness of evil and walking in ways that are the darkness he's referring to are ways that are foolish. They're anti-wisdom. Foolishness is anti-wisdom, and it translates to darkness of understanding.